Hey, second grade, welcome back. Today is my favorite day. It's time to add our color. So I'm going to be talking to you about a couple of things you can do to color your wild thing. I'm just going to use crayons. I would suggest crayons, color pencils, but you can use really anything that you wish. I think crayons are going to give it a really nice look. So I'm going to open my pack up and spread them out. Since my wild thing is my main focus of this picture, I'm probably going to start with that. And I have to think about the colors I want to use. Sometimes to make a feature like my lemur tail look like what it's actually supposed to be, it's a good idea to use the colors that are actually there. So I might want to start down here with the black. Lemur tails are usually black and white. So just like we learned a few weeks ago, I have to use excellent craftsmanship when coloring. So my goal is to stay inside the lines using the tip or the side of my crayon to kind of make a fence or outline the shape first. And then I can go back in and fill in the section, trying to keep my crayons going in the same direction while coloring will help with the craftsmanship. If I put a regular amount of pressure on the crayon, it will look really nice. But I can also do some fancy stuff for coloring. If I take a crayon and I push as absolutely hard as I can, this is called burnishing. Burnishing is a good way to fill in the area and almost give it an oil pastel or even a paint appearance. And you can see there's a big difference between these two blacks. The problem is burnishing takes a lot of pressure and it takes a lot of time. So burnishing in large spaces like the grass or even the sky is not a good idea. But doing it in small sections of my wild thing is a pretty good idea. So I'm going to stick with that and burnishing. Now, if I want to make it look cohesive, I probably should go back and push hard and burnish over top of what I did before. And now it looks nice and dark, just like before. I'm still trying to stay in the lines. I go really slow when I get to an edge, and that helps me stay inside the lines. And I keep with my pattern of black, then white, then black, then white, then black, then white, then black, then white. This will help me go one space at a time so I don't get confused and stay with good craftsmanship skills so that the whole section is filled in. You are not babies anymore. You're now big second graders, so you want to make sure that you are taking your time and filling in a space so it's nice and solid. Now, typically sharks are gray. So I could make the body of my shark gray like a real shark, but it is a wild thing. And Maurice Sendak had orange and yellow stripes on one of his wild things. So if I wanted to change the color of something, I can use my imagination and do that too. I think I'm gonna make this shark kind of a bluish green. Now, when I see kids coloring large spaces, I see them color like this. Ah, that's such poor craftsmanship. Look at how you can see white spaces, there's wiggles. I stayed in the lines, but I didn't fill in everything solid. So I'm gonna go back in and go a little bit slower when I get close to an edge and fill in those spaces I missed, trying to keep it going in the same direction the whole way. So I'm doing side to side now across the whole thing, and anything that I didn't color very nicely before, when I go back over it, it'll look much better. And that looks a lot neater already. And when I come to another line, I'm going to stop or go slow. I'm liking this blue shark. Now, sometimes in your animal, you might come to a part where like the leg meets the body, and you might want to change the color. If there's not a black line there, then the color just doesn't suddenly stop from one color to another. It should blend from one color to another. So maybe I'm gonna bring some of that blue down inside this leg. And you're gonna do one of my favorite techniques where I blend the colors together. So I'm gonna make the blue come down my turtle legs, and I think I'm gonna make it blend into a green. So I can take a green crayon then and color down here at the bottom of the leg. And the idea is the green and the blue will slowly overlap. So bring that green up into the blue a little bit, and that blue slowly turns into a bluish green. And the color will blend, and I have a really cool way of adding a newer color in that spot. So this is another really cool coloring technique you can do, especially if you're limited with your colors. Say you only have an 8 or a 16 pack of crayons or colored pencils, you can do some really cool custom colors by blending, or by even using the next technique that I'm going to show you, which is called layering. So I used green on my foot, but I wanted to make green grass. And if I take my green and I color with green, the foot and the grass kind of blend together. There's no contrast, so they don't stand out. One way to fix this is to do this next technique, but you've got to color your space with one color over the whole space first. So I'm going to take my crayons and I'm going to kind of push at a medium space and color over it. My drawing board has paint on it from a painting I did, and all the little paint spots are doing this really cool texture rubbing over top of it. I kind of like it, so I'm going to keep doing it. It's a little happy accident. I'm going to go slow when I get to other spaces so that I stay in the lines, and then I can get a little bit faster as I am in a bigger section. Use the tip of my crayon there. So I'm coloring the whole space with this green first. As I get close to the edge of the paper, I'm going to do that same trick where I hold it down and then color between my fingers, trying to make the crayon go from the inside of the paper to the outside. And then I can fill in those spaces. So my grass now looks green, but it looks almost like the same color of green before. If I take another color and put it over top of this, I can make a whole new custom color. So one of the things I can do is I know that green and yellow are next to each other on the color wheel. So if I take this yellow and put it over top of my green, I am layering colors, which is why we call this color technique layering. You're putting one color on top of another. Now just putting this yellow on top of this green makes my grass a whole new color. This is more of a yellowy green, and then I've got the regular green in my turtle foot, and then I've got this beautiful bluish green that I made by blending the colors together. So there's a lot of different ways to take just a few colors of crayons and make them into something super unique that only you have. And remember, the fun thing about this wild thing is it's totally made up. It does not exist. We're taking inspiration from things that are found in real life, but we're making them with an artsy twist. So you can make pink chicken feet, or instead of orange and black stripes like a tiger would have, maybe I want to make pink stripes. Or maybe instead of a tree trunk that is brown, maybe I want to make a green tree trunk with purple leaves for my tree. It is your imagination, and it is your picture and your wild thing. The main thing is that when you come to something that's a different shape or a different object, and it's next to something that's similar, change the color slightly by blending, by burnishing, or by layering, and you can get a whole new look to that, so that things don't blend in and your wild thing stands out. Look how snazzy my grass looks now. I love that yellowy green color. And the cool thing is you could still use yellow in other places and it still looks different. And sometimes when you layer, depending on what color you put down first and how hard you press with your crayon, you can get even more cool looks. If I put my yellow down first, and I kind of burnish with my yellow, and then I go very lightly with the green on top, it even makes a different color still. Look at how this still looks different than the grass. That's 3 different greens I made on the same paper, just using the same 2 color crayons. It's pretty cool. So, your job is to finish coloring your picture. I'm gonna speed things up a bit and see how mine turns out in the end.